Hey guys, we are going to start solving one and then two-step equations. So hopefully you all could print these problems out. You'll be doing this from now on in math. You will be solving equations every year you're in math for the rest of your life. All right, so let's go through these. Now it's important, especially the ones you can do in your head. It's important for you to do all the steps because when they get more difficult and you can't just figure out the answer in your head very quickly, you have to know what steps to do. So what you're trying to do when you have equations, is you always want the variable by itself. So in this situation, our variable is an x. At the end of the problem, you want x on one side of the equal sign by itself. So whatever you do to one side of the equal sign, you must do to the other side in order to keep this equation balanced. So this thing that is on the side with x is plus 5. So to solve equations, you always do the opposite operation. So the opposite of addition is subtraction. The opposite of subtraction is addition. The opposite of multiplication is division, and vice versa. The opposite of division is multiplication. So when you see plus 5, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to subtract 5. I'll draw that line because it's a good way to keep everything organized, and it helps to remind you that you have to write everything twice. So now I have 5 minus 5. Well, 5 minus 5 is 0, so that's gone. So I bring down my x, bring down my equal sign, and 12 minus 5 is 7. So with equations, you can always check your answer. You can take what x is, plug it into the equation, and make sure your answer is correct. Does 7 plus 5 equal 12? Is that true? It is true, so we know our answer is correct. So number 2, you always find your variable first. So here it is. We want to get rid of what's on the side of x, with x, I should say. So the opposite of minus 6 is plus 6. So we're going to write everything twice. So this is gone. So we bring down our x equals, and 10 plus 6 is 16. Check our answer. Does 16 minus 6 equal 10? Yep, we're right. Number 3, find your variable. What is on the side with the variable? Plus 2, we're going to do the opposite operation. So we are subtracting 2 from both sides of the equal sign. This is now gone. We bring down our x, bring down our minus sign, our equal sign, and 7 minus 2 is 5. And we know if we plugged in 5 for x, 5 plus 2 is 7. Number 4, find your variable. So here's our variable right there. What is on the side with the variable? A positive 6. So how do we get a positive 6 down to 0? We would subtract 6. So we want to cancel out a positive 6. The only way to do that is to subtract 6 from both sides. Always bring down that sign. So now this is 0, gone. Bring down my x, bring down my equal sign, and 14 minus 6 is 8. If I plug 8 back into x, 6 plus 8 is 14. So I know my answer is correct. All right, now be careful because some students, as soon as they see this, they want to get rid of 21. Well, is 21 on the side with the variable? No. You always find your variable first, and then you do the opposite of what is on the side with x. Well, I see minus 13. So the opposite of minus 13 is to add 13. And we're going to do that on both sides of the equal sign. So this has a quantity or a value of 0. So we bring down that x, bring down our equals, and 21 plus 13 is 34. And that is our answer. So plug it back in. Does 34 minus 13 equal 21? Yes. All right, so now we're going to start using positive and negative numbers. So hopefully everyone got all 5 of those correct and you're showing your work. It's very important to show your work. So we find that variable. What is on the side with the variable? Plus 3. So we're going to do the opposite. What's the opposite of plus 3? Minus 3. So This right here is gone. We bring down the x, bring down the equal sign, and be careful, you got to know your integer rules. -3 minus 3. -3 minus 3 is -6. -6 is our answer. So if you plug it back in, does -6 plus 3 equal -3? Yes, they have different signs. You take the sign of the bigger number. So that is correct. All right, our x is over here this time. So go to wherever your x is, and you want to get x by itself. Well, how do I cancel out a -8? Well, the only way to get rid of a -8 is to add 8. So even though I see a plus sign right there, I don't need to do anything to x. I just need to get rid of what's on the side with x. Well, doesn't -8 plus 8 equal 0? It does. So then, of course, I have to do everything twice. So this is gone. Bring down my x, bring down my equals, and 14 plus 8 is 22. And if I plugged in 22 right there, -8 plus 22 equals 14. Now look at number 8. See how it's written? We have minus a negative. So before you ever start trying to solve for W, you're going to do bam, bam, and rewrite this. W plus 2 equals 1. Now what is on the side with the variable? Plus 2. So we're going to do the opposite. We're going to subtract 2. So now we bring down our variable, our equal sign, and 1 minus 2. 1 minus 2 is -1. So if I plugged in -1, does -1 plus 2 equal +1? Yes. All right, number 9. Let me get rid of a little bit of this. You guys have to show your work. I know some of you don't want to, and you say, I can do these in my head, but not always. All right, what is on the side with M? We see +4. We do the opposite. The opposite of +4 is -4. So now we bring down that M. We bring down that equal sign, and 2 minus 4 is -2. Got to know our integer rules. Same signs add and keep, different signs subtract. All right, here's our variable K. What's on the side with K? -8. What is the opposite of -8? That would be +8. So this is gone. -8 plus 8 is 0. So I bring down my K equals, and -15 plus 8 is -7. If you plug it back in, does -7 minus 8 equal -15? Yes. Number 11, what is on the side with N? +7. So what are we going to do? Okay. How do we get rid of +7? We're going to subtract 7 from both sides of the equal sign. So we got rid of this, right? We bring down our N equals 3 minus 7 is -4. -4 plus 7 is 3. That is correct. Number 12, we want Y by itself. So what's on the side with Y? -10. We're going to write the opposite of -10, which is +10. All right, we got rid of our 10s. We bring down our Y equals -4 plus 10 is 6. And that's the right answer. Number 13, are we moving the 15? No, because the 15 is not on the side with the variable. We're moving our 11. How do we get rid of a +11? We are going to subtract 11. We got to write everything twice. So this is gone. We bring down our X equals 15 minus 11 is +4. +4. Number 14, we're going to get rid of +12 by subtracting 12 from both sides. So our 12s are gone. 12 minus 12 is 0. Bring down our P equals 4 minus 12 is -8. P equals -8. All right, now we're still doing one-step equations, but now I see multiplication. So you want the variable by itself. So what is the opposite of multiplying? Dividing. So look at number 15. It says -5 times x. Well, the opposite of multiplying by -5, we're going to divide both sides by -5. So -5 divided by -5 is 1, and 1 times x is x, equals 20 divided by -5 is -4. So then if you plug -4 right there, does -5 times -4 equal +20? Yes, remember, if you multiply or divide two negatives, you get a positive. If there are different signs, you always get a negative. So number 16, what is attached to our variable? A 3, which means 3 times x. So we do the opposite. So the opposite of times 3 is divided by 3. Divided by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 1 times x is x. And -21 divided by 3 is -7. You plug it in, does 3 times -7 equal -21? Yes. Number 17, -6 times x. What's the opposite of multiplying by -6? We're going to divide both sides by -6. We're doing the opposite operation. We're not changing signs. We're doing the opposite operation. -6 divided by -6 is 1, and 1 times x is x. And -18 divided by -6 is +3. +3. All right. Number 18. Now this says x divided by 2. So what's the opposite of division? Multiplication. So we're going to divide this side by 2, and we're going to we're going to multiply both sides by 2. So 2, basically this is like 2 over 1 times x. Well, the 2's will cancel. So we would end up with 1x, 1x equals x, and then 4 times 2 is 8. So then if we plug in 8, does 8 divided by 2 equal 4? Yes, it does. All right, number 19, x divided by -3. What's the opposite of dividing by -3? We're going to multiply by -3. Multiply by -3. Well, this way I wrote it. It looks like it's a fraction times a fraction, so the top and bottom can cancel. So x is equal to -5 times -3 is +15. So if I plugged in +15, does +15 divided by -3 equal -5? Yep, that's true. Number 11, the x is on the right side this time. X divided by 8. What's the opposite of dividing by 8? We're going to multiply by 8, which basically cancels. We're going to multiply both sides by 8. So x is equal to 11 times 8 is 88. So if I plugged it in, does 88 divided by 8 equal 11? Yes. All right, 21. Now this time, let me erase this stuff. All right, now this time I don't see a number in front of x, but you can't, this isn't solved for x because it doesn't say x equals 4. It says -x equals 4. So guys, basically it's the same thing as saying -1 times x equals 4. If you don't see a number, it's usually a 1. So now how do I get rid of a -1 times -1? That means I'm going to divide both sides by -1. So -1 divided by -1 is +1x. And then 4 divided by -1 is -4, right? Then that makes sense. If -x is equal to +4, wouldn't +x be equal to -4? Yep, you change both signs on both sides of the equal sign. Number 22, x divided by 6. What's the opposite of dividing by 6? We're going to multiply both sides by 6, and x is equal to 18 times 6 is 108. Now let me show you a common mistake on a problem like 22. Let me show you a common problem. People look at this, students will look at this problem really quickly and say, okay, well 6 goes into 18 3 times, so the answer is 3. But that's not right. If I plugged in 3 for x, isn't 3 over 6 the same as 1 over 2? Definitely not 18, right? So be careful. You got to think about, you got to kind of talk to yourself. What does this mean? This means x divided by 6. And then you ask yourself, what is the opposite of dividing by 6? And the answer is multiplying by 6. Okay, so that's where we got the 108. And then does 108 divided by 6 equal 18? Yes. Yes, it does. So be careful. All right, number 23, this says negative 2 times x. So what's the opposite of multiply by negative 2? Dividing by negative 2. So this is gone. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is positive 1. And positive 1 times x is x equals negative 11 divided by negative 2. First of all, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. Okay. And then either we can leave our answer 11 halves, or we can literally divide 11 by 2 and we could get 5.5 or 5.5. So 11 over 2, 5.5 or 5 1/2, those are all good answers. Just make sure you know if you end up with 2 negatives being divided, it's a positive answer. All right, now we're going to put all of that stuff together. Put it all together, add or subtract, and then multiply or divide. So when you're solving equations, you always add and subtract first. After you add and subtract, then you multiply and divide. It's the opposite order as if you were solving an expression with subtraction, addition, multiplication, division. So you add and subtract first and then multiply and divide when you are solving equations, which means when your expression is attached to an equal sign. So we got to add or subtract first. So do we see an add or subtract sign in number 24? Plus 7. What's the opposite of add 7? That means we're going to subtract 7 from both sides. So this is gone. We bring down 4x is equal to 27 minus 7 is 20. Are we done yet? Is x by itself? Nope. X is still attached to 4. So 4 times x, the opposite of times x, or times 4 is divided by 4. So now 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 1 times x is x equals 20 divided by 4 is 5. So that's our x. So now to check our answer, we plug in 5 for x. So 4 times 5 plus 7. So 4 times 5 is 20. 20 plus 7 is 27, which is what we had here. So we know our answer is right. All right, so find your variable. We found x. We want to get rid of plus and minus first and then multiply or divide. Now, even though I understand this is a plus sign, but what are we trying to get rid of? We're trying to get rid of a positive 10. Well, how do you get rid of a positive 10? The way you get rid of a positive 10 is to subtract 10. So we're subtracting 10 from both sides of the equal sign. Okay, so think about what you want to get rid of. So 10 minus 10 is 0. I bring down my 3x equals, now look at this, be careful. Negative 20 combined with negative 10 is negative 30, right? And then what's being done to x is being multiplied by 3. So what's the opposite of multiplying by 3? We're going to divide both sides by 3. So negative 30 divided by 3 is negative 10. Our answer is negative 10. So then to double check, you want to plug it back in. 10 plus 3 times negative 10, is that negative 20? Well, 3 times negative 10 is negative 30. And yes, you take the sign of the bigger digit, and the answer is negative 20. So our answer is correct. Number 26, we want x by itself. Well, we have to get rid of this positive number first. How do we get rid of positive numbers? We subtract them. Subtract 19 first. So guess what? That's gone. So bring down our whole term. Well, the whole term is negative 4x. Negative 4x is equal to negative 21 combined with the negative 19 is negative 40. Now, what's attached to our x? times -4. So we're going to do the opposite. We're going to divide by -4. This is gone. So x is equal to -40 divided by -4 is +10. +10. So to double check, plug it back in. 19 minus 4 times +10. Does that equal -21? Well, 19 minus 40 is -21. So we know our answer is correct. Ooh, I have stuff everywhere. All right, number 27. Now we're gonna make it a little bit even more complicated, but you do one step at a time. So we want the parentheses to go away. So we're going to distribute the 2 first. So 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 22 is 44. And then we can put the rest of our problem. All right, we want to get rid of plus 44 by subtracting 44 first. Okay, so this is all gone. We bring down 2x equals, I'm feeling tired, you guys. 72 minus 44 is 28. And then what do? We divide by 2. So x is equal to 14. All right, x is equal to 14. Now I'm going to show you a different way to do this as well. Okay, so that will work, and that's the right answer. However, what if we just say, okay, I don't want to multiply everything by 2 because this is 2 times all of this stuff. Well, the opposite of multiplying by 2 is dividing by 2. So if I want to do it this way, I can, because 2 divided by 2 is 1, right? And 72 divided by 2 is 36. So since that 2 disappears, I'm going to do x plus 22 equals 36. The 2's gone. We divided by it and got rid of it. And then we can say, well, how do I get rid of plus 22? I can subtract both sides by 22. And x is still equal to 14. So that will work. You can do it that way if you want to. Or you can do it the way we did it the first time. 28, we're going to get rid of plus 15 first. So we're going to subtract 15 from both sides. So we bring down 7x. And 38 minus 15 would be 23, right? I think so. And then we divide both sides by 7. Well, that doesn't divide evenly, does it? So we can either leave it as 23 over 7, or we could say 7 goes into 23 3 times with 1 left over, actually 2. 3 and 2 over 7, or we could write our decimal. 23 over 7 is 3.2857. It goes on and on and on. Okay, so you don't always get whole numbers, right? All right, so number 29, we could distribute 1/5. We could say what's 1/5 of 5x and 1/5 of 12. Or why don't we do it like we did number 27 the second time? How do you get a fraction down to 1? Well, don't you multiply it by its reciprocal? So 1/5 times, if we flip it over, isn't this the same as 1? Yes. So this is showing multiplication. So one way to get rid of a multiplication is to divide. So we could say 1/5 divided by 1/5. Well, guess what? That means keep it, change it, flip it. So basically it's what we did here. So 1 over 5 times 5 over 1 is 5/5 or 1. So instead of distributing 1/5, we're going to just cancel it out by multiplying it by its reciprocal. So 1/5 times 5 is 1, so that's gone. However, we can't just multiply one side by 5. We have to multiply both sides by 5 over 1, which is just 5, isn't it? So we got rid of this. We don't have to distribute anything. So 5x plus 12 is now equal to 18 times 5. Well, 18 times 5 is, 18 times 5 is 90. So we want x by itself. So the first thing we're going to do is subtract 12. So we have 5x is equal to 78. And then we're going to divide both sides by 5. So 78 divided by 5 is 15.6. We could do 16 or 15 and 3/10. Or no, 3/5, or we could just write 15.6. All right, like I said, you don't always get whole numbers. All right, let's look at 32. I think we're almost done. Is this our last slide? Almost done. I hope you guys are hanging in there with me and showing all your work. All right, number 30, we want x by itself. So what we're going to get rid of first, we're going to do the opposite of plus 25, which is minus 25. So we bring down this whole term, negative 7x. This goes away. So 48 minus 25 is 23. 23 again, we did that earlier. And now how do I get rid of times negative 7? We're going to subtract, or no, we're not. We're going to divide by negative 7. So that's gone. So x is equal to negative 23 over 7. Or you could say it goes negative 3 times with 2 left over. So either of those answers is good. All right, number 31, we're going to get rid of times 1/8. So how do you get rid of times 1/8? You multiply it by its reciprocal. You flip it. And it's a negative. So the opposite, or how do you get rid of a negative 1/8? You flip it, multiply it by its reciprocal, which a negative times a negative is a positive. So that would be 8 over 8, which is 1. So I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 8. Okay. And all I'm doing is getting rid of this fraction. Because I could distribute it. I could do that. I could multiply x by negative 1/8 and 35 by negative 1/8. But I'd rather just get rid of that fraction. So whatever you do to one side, you got to do to the other. So negative 8 times negative 1/8 is positive 1. So now I'm bringing down x plus 35 is equal to negative 8 times negative 7 is positive 56. Now I'm going to subtract 35 from both sides, and x is equal to 21. One more, you guys. Here we go. All right, we're going to get rid of minus 13 first. The opposite of minus 13 is add 13. Add 13. So this is gone. We bring down negative 7x is equal to, that would be negative 21. And then the opposite of times negative 7, we're going to divide both sides by negative 7. So negative 21 divided by negative 7 is positive 3. I'm tired. How'd you guys do? I hope you did well. I hope you did well. That is a lot, you guys. That's a lot. But we're going to practice solving equations all week. And make sure you join me for our Zoom this week. So if you have any questions or need me at all, let me know. I'll help you. Have a good day. I will see you guys later.